Hello everyone, this is Nitpicking Nerd, and I just watched the second episode of Star Trek Lower Decks, and I thought it was absolutely perfect. I loved it. It was a brilliant episode, really funny. I'm being totally serious, by the way. I really was surprised by how good it was. They really should have started the show with this episode and not the previous one. For some reason, the first episode wasn't that funny, in my opinion, but this one I loved almost every moment of it. And the humor, I guess, is subjective. Maybe not everyone will like it, but it fit my personal comedy taste perfectly, and they fixed so many issues that we thought are going to be an issue, like the whole, Michael Tilly always humiliating Ensign Purple Hair. It kind of went the same way at first, but then she did something toward the end of the episode which kind of made her a lovable character as well. And this is a spoiler-free review, so I won't go into the details. I'll do another review later analyzing everything, but I really recommend anyone listening to go and watch the second episode if you're a fan of the old Star Trek shows like TNG. I guarantee you will enjoy at least something in this episode because they nailed a lot of things. They poked fun at the things that should have been poked fun at in TNG, and they kind of fixed it and they elevated it, and they even played on the whole. I was expecting this show to have the same problems as Discovery and Picard, and it seemed to be going that way. Everybody talking like the people of today and cursing and drinking, and people not being enlightened, people being nasty like the people of today, and what we saw in Discovery and Picard, and females always humiliating the males and all of that. And it seemed to be going that way, but then in this episode they really turned it on its head suddenly, and they used it for comedy. Like, they surprised us. Like, there were moments in which they seemed to be setting up that the senior crew will be a-holes toward the members of the lower decks crew, but then suddenly they weren't. Suddenly they were supportive and loving, like the TNG style of enlightened humans and everyone being friends and all of that. So to me it felt surprising and funny, and also kind of a relief that suddenly to see, oh, this is the TNG utopia. This is not the dystopia of Discovery or Picard. So I loved it. They actually used it. They used our expectations to surprise us in a funny way, and they showed us that this is actually set in the TNG style of a loving and supportive environment, a ship that you actually would want to be on. And so I loved it. I loved the fact that, and all the attention to detail, all the aliens look like the TNG aliens, the Klingons look like the TNG Klingons, and the Klingons even had the personality of the TNG Klingons, which the Discovery Klingons were lacking. That was actually a bigger problem than their appearance, and I talked about that in my reviews of Discovery. I said that my biggest problem is not even to do with their appearance, but the fact that they don't feel like the TNG Klingons, because they are boring. They don't have all those traits which the TNG Klingons had, which made them so entertaining and funny. Their whole culture, the fact that they eat nasty food, and they're so bloodthirsty, and they fight all the time, and also they love to have fun. They sing and they drink and they fight for fun. And so the TNG Klingons were simply kind of comedic. They were entertaining to watch, and yet the Discovery Klingons were totally boring and depressing. You know how in TNG the Klingons always said stuff like, I'm going to eat the heart of my enemy, but they never actually did it. It was all just talk and all of that, because it was a family-friendly show. And yet in Discovery the Klingons are actually eating people for real. They are cannibals and all of that. So it made them just like nasty aliens with no comedy, no humor, no heart to them. And they didn't have any honor and all of that. The TNG Klingons, once you get to know them, once you know how to deal with them, they can actually be your best friends. You simply need to know how to behave with them. But the Discovery Klingons were just nasty. They didn't have honor. They didn't have anything good about them. The TNG Klingons had some good side as well. And so I think in this episode they nailed the TNG Klingons and everything that made them such a fun-loving and fun species and all of that, which the Discovery Klingons were lacking. So this isn't just about their appearance, and the appearance also was much more like the TNG appearance, and even their knives and everything. They got all the details right, and so I really feel like the makers of this show are true fans of Star Trek, and they're making it feel like the proper Star Trek universe that I used to love. And so I really love this episode. I cannot say it any more obvious than that. I take back anything negative I might have said about the creators of the show. A lot of people, hate on Kurtzman, and for good reason, but I don't think he had anything to do with it. I think he simply hired people this time who are actually fans of Star Trek, and they let them do what they want, and they produce something which actually is good. And so I encourage everyone to give this a chance. And I guarantee that Kurtzman had little to do with the production of this show. He simply hired people who are fit for the job and let them do it, and they did a good job, at least in this episode. And the show did have those elements which I was complaining about from Discovery and Picard, and yet here they used it for comedy, and they even turned it around in the end, meaning, that character of Michael Tilly, hybrid, who is stunning and brave and the bestest ever at everything without ever studying and all of that. They kind of poked fun at it, so it was the same element from Discovery, but they actually poked fun at it. And also in the end, I don't want to spoil it, she did something, she basically sacrificed her own ego to try to help Ensign Purple Hair and to boost him up, and so she did it in a way, she wasn't humiliating him in the end, it was the opposite. So the way they did it in this episode was actually good. The crew members supporting each other and helping each other and lifting each other up instead of just humiliating one character to promote another. And so they actually fixed that problem that I had in Discovery. So if that's how they'll do it in the future, I love it. So I thought this was great. And one of the funniest jokes, I don't want to spoil it for anyone who doesn't know, but they took something stereotypical from TNG, which was kind of problematic. I was going to make a whole video on that topic, racism in TNG. TNG was very anti-racist in how they showed humans interacting, but it was kind of racist toward other alien species which they invented, and they were basically doing that in a stereotypical way, just like the racism of today toward certain ethnicities and all of that. And so that actually is a problem I had with TNG. I talked about that in one of my reviews of the Orville, and I explained that the Orville actually did it better because, in the Orville they showed that the problem is the culture and not so much the biology of the aliens. And yet in TNG, oftentimes they would judge a whole species of aliens as all being the same way, as if it's biologically that way with them and all of that, which is kind of a racist idea by itself. So they kind of took that idea and made a joke of it, a parody of it in this episode, and in the end there was a twist which kind of showed that the lesson was not to judge other species by their race and all of that. So they actually took something which was problematic in TNG and they fixed it, they made it better, and I loved it. I absolutely loved that scene, which I don't want to spoil. I really recommend everybody to go and watch this episode. And I will do another review later in which I will upload, I actually recorded my live reaction to the episode and made a review after that with talking about all the details. So I will upload it after this one, but before you watch my commentary and review, I recommend that you watch the episode itself. You might be able to watch it with my commentary, but I think I probably talked a little bit too much, so it will probably interfere and interrupt your enjoyment from the episode. So if you want to watch it and then watch it a second time with my commentary, then watch my next video. If you want to hear my full analysis, my full detailed thoughts about it, then watch my next video, which I will upload shortly after this. So this is all I can say about it for now. Let me know what you think in the comments below and we can discuss it, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.